Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with Finster. In her spot, she insisted that she be here, at least for the beginning, of our discussion of the 5 greatest Bach violinists. Right? And you love Bach's violin music, don't you? Particularly the sonatas and partitas, which is really what we mean by Bach violinists, don't we? I mean, it's people who've played those pieces. The rest of it, well, who cares? I mean, yes, there's some other violin stuff. There are concertos and things. But, if you don't have the sonatas and partitas under your belt, you're useless as a Bach violinist. So let's start at the very beginning. The 5 greatest Bach violinists are, number 1, Gregory Fulkerson. Now, I suppose he's not a household name, but he is a tremendously fine violinist, and he recorded the sonatas and partitas on bridge records, and they are wonderful performances, beautiful performances, full of character and virtuosity and intelligent differentiation between all of the dance movements, and with a knock'em sock'em granitically intense performance of the the other thing that everybody does, the chaconne, that thing, the passacaglia, whatever that thing is. Yes, you're okay? All right, she's going to hang out over there, I think, for most of the rest of this. Okay, so we can go back the normal way. The bottom line is Fulkerson was a marvel when I first heard him, and he's magnificently recorded by Bridge Records. It's not a set that's gotten tons of attention, but it deserves to be ranked with the best. There's no question about it. So we move on to the next fabulous person, Arthur Grumiaux. Well, Grumiaux is a classic, and he's a classic in Bach, and he did the concertos, and he did the violin sonatas, and he's done the sonatas and partitas. He was just wonderful in Baroque and classical works. I mean, he was great in everything, but there was something about him. There was a certain poise and stylistic flair that he brought to that music, which is absolutely amazing and which has never been equaled. I mean, other people have excelled in other ways, but his personal style with that music has rendered his performances absolutely classic, and they deserve to remain so considered. Another one, and this was a very, very interesting choice, James Ehnes on Analecta. Grumiaux is on Philips, now Decca. Ehnes is on Analecta. He was not, when he made this recording of the sonatas and partitas, quite as famous as he later became. He's on Chandos now and other major labels and things like that. But at the time, he was a still fairly local Canadian talent. And Analecta snagged him, and they did these works. And he is a prodigiously gifted pianist, and his view of these works is different from anybody else who's done them. I mean, not in like a bizarre, crazy way. It's simply in a personal way. He takes some tempos more deliberately, but always brings out Bach's inner lines and implied harmonies, and he just has a very distinctive concept for each of these works, and it was very convincing. I mean, I was totally convinced. I think he's an amazing violinist in this music, and fortunately, he hasn't re-recorded them 700 times yet, so that's a good thing. Next, Christian Tetzlaff. Now, Tetzlaff has done them twice. The sonatas and partitas, anyway. He's done other things too. The first, I think, is his best version. It was on Virgin Classics, now coupled on CD with Ralph Kirschbaum's cello suites, the solo cello suites. And they are wonderful performances. They really are. He has a naturalness in this performance that wasn't quite matched in his remakes. His remakes are super. They're on Ondine. But as he's gotten older, he's become a little bit more interventionist, shall we say, a little bit more obvious in his manipulations of line and phrasing. Whereas here, it all just happens as if preordained, which is also true, actually, of our last candidate, Nathan Milstein. Now, Milstein's Bach has been famous since the dawn of time. And in fact, he was the pianist who, in many respects, made these pieces the repertory staples that they are today. He recorded the sonatas and partitas twice, once for EMI HMV, superbly, and once for Deutsche Grammophon, also superbly. It's impossible to choose between them. Some of them prefer the earlier ones because perhaps they are a little bit more, I wouldn't say spontaneous, but he might have been in slightly better form at the time. The Deutsche Grammophon performances reflect the wisdom of the centuries of fabulous virtuoso violin playing. They are remarkable performances as well. His performance of the Chaconne is just a wonder to behold. But then his slow movements are so heartfelt and so meltingly phrased. They're absolutely gorgeous. The dances really dance. I remember I first got that set. I don't know if you folks remember, but I was a member of the International Preview Society, which was actually a record club that licensed things from mostly Universal labels, if I recall correctly. There was a lot of DG and Phillips and stuff. And one of the bonuses I got when I joined the International Preview Society was this set on LP. And I remember at the time, I was like 12, and I just remember thinking, oh God, who would want to listen to anything written for solo violin alone? What could be less interesting than a single violin? And I put it on, and I was confirmed in that. I detested them. I thought it was just the most annoying cat scratch, pain in the ass piece of music. It just had no interest for me whatsoever. It took decades for me to actually learn to enjoy these works. The tone of the solo violin has never been alluring to me, actually, or all that appealing. And so having these long pieces with just a violin going, but then I grew up and I began to appreciate what Bach had done, which is absolutely amazing, of course. It's Bach. And this performance, which I'd always had kicking around, really sold me on the music. After hearing a bunch of other versions too, and I kept coming back to Milstein, and it really sunk in eventually. So there you have it, the 5 greatest Bach violinists doing the complete sonatas and partitas. And you can pick a Bach violinist who did some concertos or other things as well, but whoever you select must have done the complete sonatas and partitas. Otherwise, you can't really be considered a Bach violinist at all. So that's the one stipulation. After that, up to 5, it's up to you. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.